I have been working on regulating my nervous system for some time now, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you how it's going. Hello everyone, Jennifer here, and welcome to the Daily Connoisseur. So this is a very important video for me. It is hard to film because it is something that is a very personal journey, but it's also challenging to put to words what I have been working on and experiencing, but I am going to do it because I believe that many of you could benefit from my experience. And I would also love to hear about your own with regards to nervous system regulation. Okay, so let's start from the beginning of when nervous system regulation came on my radar. And this is why it's hard for me to talk about because it is very personal. But I had not even considered nervous system regulation as something that I needed until I saw a therapist. And so I had an appointment, I would say it's about a year and a half ago, with a therapist for various reasons. One of the reasons was I was dealing with chronic burnout. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to see her. And I haven't gone back since. Like, this was my only therapy session I ever had. I should go back because I got a lot from it, although I didn't realize it at the time. So anyway, I had a talk with her, and what I was thinking was going to happen was she was going to give me actionable steps to combat burnout, to break the glass ceiling, to go and conquer the world. I don't know what I was expecting. But what she told me was that my nervous system was chronically dysregulated, and it has been for basically my whole life, and that I need to get it regulated in order to do anything else, to heal, to recover from burnout, to, be more creative, to live a more beautiful life. Like, it all will stem from my nervous system. And I was not expecting that answer. I couldn't really even receive it then, okay? Funny, my word of the year is receive. But I couldn't receive it. I was like, what? I left the session thinking that it was just kind of like probably some blanket answer that she gave everybody, okay? But I didn't discount it. I kept it on my radar. I did some journaling on it. And then I slowly realized over time that she was absolutely right, that my nervous system is heavily dysregulated. So before we talk about that, let's discuss what a nervous system is scientifically. Okay, so before we move forward, what is a nervous system? All right, here is the technical definition. The nervous system is the body's primary command, control, and communication network, consisting of the brain, spinal cord, and a complex network of nerves. It processes information, controls bodily functions, and enables thoughts, emotions, and movement by transmitting electrical signals between the brain and the rest of the body. That is the technical definition of your nervous system. Clearly, this is an important system, okay? It basically controls, it's the command center for our entire body. And my therapist told me that there are two facets of the nervous system. There is the sympathetic nervous system, which is when our body goes into fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. It's our reaction to stressors, basically. And there is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. That conserves energy, repairs the body, and maintains homeostasis and during calm situations, okay? So obviously we want our nervous system to work. We want to go into the sympathetic nervous system when there is a threat, okay? But we don't want to stay there. And the way that my therapist told me about it was she said that there's a river, okay? And this is the parasympathetic nervous system. This is rest and digest. And occasionally we'll go out of the river and spiral in the sympathetic nervous system. Fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. These are reactions to stressors, okay? It's okay to be there, but you always want to get yourself back on the river of rest and digest, okay? My trouble was that I was constantly stuck in fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, and I was never going on the river of rest and digest. That was a lot of information for me to process. I inherently knew that it was true, but then I'm like, what do I do about this? This is an entire lifetime of learned behavior. How can I even begin to regulate my nervous system? So that's how it all began, and it just began as awareness. I think that that's the first step for everybody, is simply awareness. You might have denial before you have awareness, but I do think that in this modern culture where we have so much stress from world events, stress from, personal issues, stress from social media and being constantly on, constantly watched, constantly needing to post and share and, that whole thing that we don't even really think about. Stress from being constantly available via our cell phones. There's so much going on that I do think that the majority of us are not regulated in a healthy way. So that's my observation, but I can definitely speak for myself knowing that I wasn't. And this is why I was in chronic burnout, because I was chronically in fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, and very rarely in rest or digest. In fact, one of the reasons why I saw my therapist was because I do not know how to rest. I don't know how to rest. I still kind of don't, okay? This is a problem. I know it's a strange problem to have. I know some of you also have this. Often busy mothers will have this, but of course other people too, working professionals or people who are just always there for others, always helping other people. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about my rest journey in just a minute, but I would like to thank today's sponsor, which is Ritual. I absolutely love my sponsors. I'm so grateful to them for supporting my channel, and Ritual is amazing. Ritual has amazing multivitamins. I've been taking Ritual vitamins for years now. They're essential for women's 18 plus is a clean, high quality multivitamin for women ages 18 to 49 to help fill key nutrient gaps in their diet. The Essential for Women 18 plus is a USP verified third-party quality certification that sets one of the highest bars for product transparency. Less than 1% of multivitamins have earned this mark. It's vegan-friendly, non-GMO, project verified, gluten-free, major allergen-free, without extras and artificial colorants. I find it easy and pleasurable to take due to the mint tab in the bottle. And I also trust this vitamin because the ingredients are made traceable, so you know where they come from. I also love Ritual's Symbiotic Plus. It is a 3-in-1 prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic that supports a balanced gut microbiome and digestive health. Also, as a side note, Ritual make my favorite protein shake. It's so delicious. So for 25% off your first order of Ritual, check out my link down below. And thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so I have trouble resting. It is a very strange affliction. It sounds stupid. Like it's like, why can't you rest? But I can't. So I am a very high functioning, high capacity individual. I'm very driven on productivity. And I think that these things all come together to unfortunately make me also somebody who has difficulty resting. It has not always been this way. I used to be excellent at resting. Like I've mentioned, my childhood was, of course, it was not idyllic. I'm not saying it was. I had issues in childhood, like most people. But one thing that was really great was that I had a lot of downtime. I grew up in the 90s, and my summers were not packed with any activities. I would just ride my bike, I'd read books in my tree, I'd play with my friends. I had a very relaxed childhood. I would say in my early 20s, although I did have a lot of jobs and I worked a lot, I was also really good at relaxing, I would say. I would read a lot, I took time for myself, and I was pretty good at relaxing in my 20s. Then when I got married and had kids, that went away. I don't know how else to say it. And I think a lot of women especially will be able to relate to this. I found that once I became a mother, the 24/7-ness of being a mother On top of that, with working and just everything to do with family life, cooking, cleaning, and, working, school, all of that, made it so that I felt like my to-do list was never ending. And because of my personality type, feeling like I can't rest until my to-do list is complete, then I just felt like I could never rest. I apologize that the door is creaking because it's windy. So that's where it all began. And not only that, but as someone who works for myself, I'm my own boss, I don't really have clear boundaries with work. And I've shared my struggles with you before about how I would just pack work into every waking minute. So when normally I would be resting from my personal duties as a mother and homemaker, that's when I would work. So I never really would rest. And if I did rest, I would feel guilty about it. Now, I've confided to you that I have a lot of messages in my dreams, and I have begun to dream journal and really take my dreams seriously. And I did have a dream last year that I will never forget. Sometimes in my dreams, I will have a character, an NPC, if you want to call it that, somebody who's I don't know in real life in my dream that will turn to me and give me a message that is clear as day. And I did have a dream where this happened, and a person turned to me in my dream and they said, "Stop, nervous, rest." And I woke up and I wrote that in my dream journal, "Stop, nervous, rest," because it was such a clear command. And it also resonated with me so much. And it's not a phrase that I've heard ever, nervous rest, but that's what I would have, is when I would rest, I would be nervous. Nervous that I wasn't checking off my to-do list, nervous that I would be falling behind, nervous that I wouldn't get everything done. Just, it was ridiculous. Like I could not just simply lay down and read a book and enjoy high quality leisure like I wanted to, because something was always gnawing at the back of my mind that the dishes weren't done, or this script wasn't written, or whatever it was, So I thought, wow. And I did decide to basically dedicate this entire year of 2026 to learning how to rest again. I've been doing good. In fact, this week that I'm filming this, I went to a resort with the kids. We went to Palm Springs, and I said, I'm not working on this trip. I am going to rest. And I did. I just read my book by the pool. I went swimming. I didn't do any work. I fully focused on resting, and it went well. It was actually really good. Whereas before, I would definitely hang out with the family, but if I had any downtime, I'd be plugging away at work or trying to do something, So that was my history with not being able to rest. So how am I regulating my nervous system? I am starting with awareness. And when I tell you that it is a moment by moment thing, I am not exaggerating. So I notice that throughout the day, my body tends to create this sense of being under attack or under threat or not safe for things that it doesn't need to do that for. Okay, so if I'm walking down the street and a lion is chasing me, then I want my body to kick into that mode, of course, so I could save my life. But when I am just going through my morning routine and feeling completely overwhelmed, I don't want to go into fight or flight and then stay there. I want to be able to come out of it and regulate again. Okay, so, and this sounds dramatic, and that's why I hesitated saying this, because I don't want people to say, I don't know, what do you have to be stressed about or anything? Like, I just don't want to hear that. We all have things to be stressed about. For me, I do find it very stressful to manage the entire family's schedule and my own. And mornings can be particularly hectic when everyone seems to need something from me. Yet I also have demands from work, from Watson, from the house. And I am also a highly sensitive person, so I just get overwhelmed really easily, okay? So I take nervous system regulation on a moment by moment basis. And sometimes it's not that dramatic, like in the afternoon when things have calmed down, it's fine. But in the morning, when I need to empty the dishwasher, get breakfast for people, put it away, start making lunch, I need to write a script. I need to work on my book. I need to do the laundry and vacuum and this and that. Yes, I do find that to be challenging. And so there is that quote from Matthew Weatherly White, and I discuss this in my new book, The Daily Connoisseur's Guide to Living Well at Home. And his quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, says, "The most important thing I do each morning is steady myself by not allowing a sense of urgency to penetrate." And when I read that quote, I thought, that's it. That is it, because I think what I do is I allow a sense of urgency to penetrate, and the urgency is false. If I don't empty the dishwasher, it's okay. If I don't write the script, it's okay. If I don't do literally anything, it's okay. But I'm creating the false sense of urgency with everything, and my nervous system is taking that on as a threat and putting me into fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, any one of those four, okay? And, I want to go back into the parasympathetic stage of rest and digest. So it is literally taking everything on a moment by moment basis. And what I've found from doing this is that I tend to be more relaxed about things. I will let things go. Things are more relaxed, like, everything is not perfect around me. I think if you struggle with perfectionism, this can be something that might resonate for you. Sometimes I don't clean the kitchen at night. That's an example. I'll wake up in the morning and there's dirty dishes in the sink. Sometimes that's necessary. Do I do that every night? No, but sometimes I take it on a moment by moment basis. And if I'm feeling like it's more important for me to just go to bed, then I do that and I take care of myself. I also want to clear up something. This is like totally random, but a lot of people, make assumptions about my life, and I have had housekeepers, a nanny in the past, but currently I do not. Okay, so currently I do not have any household help, if that helps in any way. Not saying I won't get it in the future, not saying I haven't had it in the past. I do go through phases where I have help and phases where I don't have outside help. So I'm currently in the not having outside help phase. I'm just laying that out there because I do get comments like, well, you have this and you have that, so why are you stressed, okay? But we should never judge anybody on why they are stressed. We don't know what people are going through, okay? Those are my notes, and I just want to check to make sure. Yes, okay. So the moment by moment basis thing is huge for me. Now, what is helping me to regulate my nervous system? What is helping me go into rest and digest? I do have specific things that I do that get me there quicker and that are slowly healing me over time. And I wrote them down here. The first one being nature. This sounds cliche, but it's just true. When I step out into nature, when I go on a walk, when I go into my garden, when I go and look at my roses, I feel calmer. I am brought out of it. If I'm constantly indoors with a screen around me, with work, I just cannot regulate. But if I step outside, I go into the peace of wild things, as Wendell Berry says. Look at this rose. This was clipped from my garden. Just focus on the absolutely beautiful unfolding of this rose. It's huge. For context, that's my hand. It's a very large rose. So yes, nature. Being with Watson helps regulate my nervous system, honestly. Watson came into our lives in December, and he has been amazing for me because just being around animals, they're so intuitive, they're so lovely, they're so just magical in the way that they are. And so Watson is definitely helping me to regulate my nervous system. Exercise is helping me. So going on walks, rebounding, that's a big one. I love the lymphatic drainage work. So rebounding, even some Qigong exercises like shaking it off and swiveling my arms, things like that. Physical activities that literally help me regulate. Those are so important for me. Swimming. I just was swimming this week when we were on spring break, and it feels amazing. Another one is puzzling. I've talked about this on the channel recently. Puzzling is a big one because in the past, old me, pre-regulated nervous system me, would think, oh my gosh, I do not have time for puzzling. Like, I'll have time for puzzling when I'm 80 years old, but not now. That's how I used to think, because it's not productive. You know, like if I can't do anything else while I'm doing it, I would just have thought in the past, who has time for puzzling? But that is the point. So I enjoy puzzling because I feel so relaxed and regulated when I'm doing it. I go into an alternate state, I'm telling you, and it is so pleasant. And I think that that's why a lot of people love puzzling. As a side note, I told you this video would be a little chaotic, but I just don't want to forget anything. My friend Amy Marie, who has a YouTube channel on books, she's a booktuber, and she mainly shares reviews on mysteries, cozy mysteries, and thrillers, but she is a dear friend, and she recommended to me a book called Rest. Rest is by Alex Sujong Kim Pang. It says, Why You Get More Done When You Work Less. That's the subtitle. So she said that that book helped her a lot. So I'm actually listening to the audiobook now, and I wrote down 3 notes for my commonplace book. One of the notes is that mental rest is more active than we think. And when I'm puzzling, I do get a mental rest. Even though my mind is working on finishing the puzzle, I feel like my brain is taking a break in a way. I don't know, I can't describe it. It's just amazing. And as a side note, while I'm here, let me tell you about the 2 other quotes that I just recently pulled from this book. It says, if you want rest, you have to take it. Take it from a world that is intent on stealing it. Okay, so let's keep that in mind for later. And when we stop and rest properly, we are not creating a tax on creativity, we are investing in it. Now, these things help someone like me who feels like I always need to be productive. My friend Dr. Chloe also reminds me that being restful is being productive. And so that helps me. If you're like this similar personality to me, then that also might help you. But yes, that first quote there, if you want rest, you have to take it. That's what I'm talking about with things like this, like puzzling. I have to schedule in a rest. I have to schedule in time to puzzle for that rest. Otherwise, I won't ever get it. I will just keep going on my to-do list the whole day long, okay? Something else that helps is, of course, reading. Reading is my primary form of entertainment. I don't really watch TV or movies. I will occasionally watch things, but it is very rare. I'm mostly reading. I make a lot of time for it. I do my TBR videos here on YouTube if you're interested, but reading just is so regulating for me. Even if I'm reading a scary thriller, I don't know what it is. It's just, I feel so regulated when I'm reading, and it's such a good feeling. I wrote here baths. I do take a long hot bath, and I read in the bath almost every night, unless I'm taking a shower, you know, for my hair. And then I wrote family, friends, my dog, my kids, just spending time with the people that I love, having fun. That, of course, is very regulating. Okay, so a few more techniques that I wanted to share with you is physically dissolving stress. And how do I do that? So when I recognize that I'm in fight or flight or fawn or freeze, that I'm dysregulated, how do I get back to being regulated? One of the physical things that I do is through breathing, and I will absolutely recognize it right away. And I will take deep breaths. I feel it in my belly, and this helps to physically dissolve the stress. I will do a technique, and please forgive me, I actually don't remember where I learned this, but it was from a book or a YouTube video, something a long time ago, and it's called burn and release. So if I feel really upset with something, I do think it is important to feel those emotions rather than stewing in them, trying not to feel them. Like, I think that gets me off the path of being regulated. So what I do is I allow myself to experience the intense anger, rage, whatever it is. I allow it to kind of like burn through my body, and I release it to God. that's how I do it. I call it burn and release. So I burn and release. It doesn't mean that I let things go or whatever, but that's how I internally deal with it rather than shoving it under the rug. That all just contributes to burnout, to being dysregulated for me. So that's basically it. I hope that wasn't too chaotic of a message. I just felt like I had so much to share with you, but I hope that you found something useful from this video, and I would love to know about your own journey with regulating your nervous system. I truly believe that in order to live well, this is the foundation. You have to have a regulated nervous system. You have to be able to rest and digest and to come from a place of calm. That's the motto of this channel, you know, keep calm and remain classy. And it's like I always inherently knew this, but I didn't know that I personally needed it until it was brought to my attention. So I truly hope that you enjoyed today's video. I would like to thank Ritual for sponsoring. If you click my link below, you can get 25% off your order with Ritual. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Daily Connoisseur, everyone. Keep calm and remain classy, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.